Namaskaram. My name is Vivekananda. Literally, it means wisdom and happiness. I believe in living a simple life. I believe in thinking differently. I am proud to share my belief with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said, simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. Through this YouTube channel, I aim to bring time tested wisdom and happiness together into your business and life by unifying, simplifying, amplifying technology, nature, and yoga. The name of my YouTube channel is Tech Nature Yoga. My hope is to bring clarity to people who are in the so called West and are looking for some guidance. Now, even if you are in a different part of the world, you might still find my effort worthwhile because much of today's world is, as it is called, westernized, or they're trying to be westernized in any way. I feel that it is my responsibility to share my understanding of karma, and I want to craft my destiny myself. Wouldn't you want to do the same? So, that's the reason why I have started this series of YouTube videos. I want to understand the concept of karma properly and share it with as many people as possible. I find it particularly important because of the worldwide situation that we are presently living in. I hope to be useful in some way. My aim here is to facilitate discussion so that we all gain deeper understanding. What do I expect in return? Well, hopefully, you will like and subscribe. Maybe you put a comment in the YouTube. The easiest way to contact me is through my website, waketechnology.com, where you will find multiple ways to reach me. It's time to introduce ourselves. As I always say, since our audience may come across any episode, because of that, we need to repeat these introductions every episode. So it's time for my guest today, as usual, Lowerland. Um, Go on, introduce
Oh,
yourself and let me, yeah.
well, greetings. This is LA, as some of my friends often refer to me. Speaking to you from Canada's west coast on Vancouver Island. I came to this group because I'm inspired by Sadhguru's approach and because Vivek and I have mutually supported one another for years. I spent my whole career helping people decide on what they should do, first through career counseling and then through career and business coaching. Today, I'm enjoying my retirement through study and discovering how to support Canadian Indigenous people as we all move toward reconciliation. You can find my most recent website at arcticcarvings.com. Over to you, Vivek.
So we have done our introductions. So as usual, this is the 10th episode. So let us watch a pre-recorded video. This is a shorter one, I should say. Not as long as the previous ones. Uh, but anyway, yeah, here goes. Um, Namaskaram. Karma. A Yogi's Guide to Crafting Your Destiny. In this episode, let us study the remaining part of Chapter 7. This chapter has a title of Karma Yoga and the Physical Body. Here is Karma Sutra number 7. As this is the second part of the same chapter that we covered in previous episode, this slide is a repeat from the previous episode because we are covering the remaining sections of the same chapter. Let me read this sutra for you. If you take more karmic load now, when you are well and capable, later you will walk hands free. In the previous episode, we covered the sections 1 to 4 from chapter 7. Here are the section titles we covered: Embodying Karma, Karma Yoga and Asanas, Common Karmic Frictions, Karma and the Elements. Bhuta Shuddhi is a process which Sadhguru and yoga teachers from Isha Foundation teach in programs with the same name, and it is a process and not covered as such in the book. I have gone through the program, and to a simple mind it might appear as a ritual, but when done properly provides great benefits and it does not take too much time. Let me quote what Sadhguru says about Bhuta Shuddhi in the book. Bhuta Shuddhi is actually the most fundamental level at which we can cleanse karma. People can decide to cleanse the mind one morning by trying to alter their attitudes, but by the afternoon they lapse back into old grooves of thinking. This is why yoga does not work solely with psychology. It is a known fact that the human mind is notoriously unstable and given to oscillation. Yoga places greater faith in the physical. Bhuta Shuddhi is a way of addressing the very root of your karma. As part of section 4, Karma and the Elements, Sadhguru gives us a sadhana or a toolkit. Human performance in any sphere is always gauged in comparison with someone else's. If your capacity to perceive is better than another's, you have a major advantage over them. For if you enhance your perceptual capability or your ability to see, the effectiveness of your action will be greatly enhanced. I often tell seekers that the aim is not to see something, but to simply learn to see. In order to enhance this perceptual ability, you could try a simple practice called the Akashi Mudra. You could do this practice particularly on those occasions when you feel you need to be at your best or to perform at your optimal capacity. There is a point of convergence in your energetic body that stretches beyond the physical body. It is approximately 17 to 19 inches from the point between your eyebrows. You must search for the point where the vision meets at an angle, acute angle of 11 degrees. Finding that point of convergence boosts the akasha, the etheric element within you. The moment the element of akasha is dominant, you will find the clarity of your perception hugely enhanced. Now, these are all words from the book, the sadhana, the Sadhguru talks about. But I have a comment to make here at this point. The sadhana that I just read out mentions Akashi Mudra, and a sophisticated explanation is given. But it does not actually tell us how to practice this Akashi Mudra. I tried searching the web and got rather confusing explanations from different sources. But I would like to have more information and how to actually do it from either Sadhguru or Isha Foundation, please. Now, at this point, let me take a few seconds to explain my call to action. I hope you found it useful so far, so I request you to like this video. Please subscribe to my channel at Tech Nature Yoga and hit the bell icon so that you can customize the notifications you get when I upload a new video. The next section in the book is minimizing physical memory. In part 1, we looked at the insidious nature of physical memory, or Runanubandha. Runanubandha is inevitable and vital for human survival, but beyond a point, it can become a source of bondage. In a single lifetime, the volume of physical memory increases enormously. The reason is that people do not know how to manage and minimize the Runanubandha in the system. This is why traditions fixed a certain stability in norms and practices, whether in terms of having a single partner or something as simple as not accepting food or water in a stranger's home, irrespective of their caste or class background. In traditional homes in India, people did not accept salt or lemon or sesame seeds from another's hands. These substances are particularly effective carriers of memory. The premise was that the body remembers any kind of intimacy, not only with another physical body, but with any physical substance. Some substances were considered to be more effective conductors of memory than others. For the same reason, in the yogic system, those who are into certain practices were asked to apply sandalwood paste or turmeric on the body. Others smeared earth on their body. A few others ash from the cremation grounds. This is not merely ceremony and superstition. Today, forensic science has developed to the point that it is possible to tell through thermal imagery exactly who sat in a place 72 hours ago. The temperatures of the body actually leaves a thermal imprint. Dogs have always been capable of tracking people down by picking up olfactory cues. Canine science is an old and advanced one. Every touch actually imparts a karmic imprint. Most people are not aware of this, but this imprint remains on a subtle level. One of the most sensitive areas of the body is the hands. By touching hands, Runanabandha is effectively transmitted from one person to another. Holding hands is considered to be an intimate gesture for this reason. This simple act can bring two people even closer than sexual activity can. When sexuality is paramount, the need to explore the other's body will be paramount. When you feel really close to someone, it often feels adequate to simply sit and hold hands. This is why the Indian tradition evolved the gesture of the namaskar, of folded hands in greeting when you meet someone, rather than kissing or embracing or shaking hands with them. The aim was not to clutter your system with too many physical connections. The namaskar is a beautiful greeting because it is a deeply respectful acknowledgement of the source of creation within another person. If you look at a person's body or personality, you could either like it or dislike it. This means a karmic pattern of craving or aversion is being set in motion. But when you bow down to the source of creation within someone, which is the same source that throbs within you, it means you acknowledge your shared and inherent divinity. You also ensure that you do not get entangled with yet another body through superfluous physical contact. The practice of touching a guru's feet arises from the same understanding. Like the hands, the soles of the feet are particularly sensitive. By touching the feet, the guru's energy could be transmitted to the disciple. An entire science exists around how the guru's feet should be touched to ensure the maximum benefit. Sadhguru says, and here I am quoting him, in my own life, when I was into intense yogic practice, I would have somewhere between 5 to 7 showers a day. When your system becomes so sensitive, you become conscious of the impact of every physical contact with your body. From a hand that you touch to the very cushion you lean against. Traditionally, yogis took a dip in the river at least twice a day, at the very minimum. Flowing water can help erase runanabandha to a great extent. During certain times, simply standing in the wind can work wonders as a cleansing process. If you try standing in a strong wind for half an hour, you will soon learn what a proper air wash can achieve. If you can leave, it can leave you feeling so much lighter and rejuvenated. Traditionally, fire was also used as a means of cleansing. The fire wash is used even today in many homes as a way of washing away negativity. These sensitivities developed because the entire tradition was oriented towards decluttering the system of the impressions gathered through random exposure to people, situations, and atmospheres. Allow me to take a few seconds for a call to action. I hope you have found it useful so far, so I request you to like this video. Please subscribe to my channel at Tech Nature Yoga and hit the bell icon so that you can customize the notifications you get when I upload a new video. At this point in the book, Sadhguru gives us another sadhana or a toolkit. The physical world is a product of polarities, masculine and feminine, yin and yang, Ida and Pingala, Shiva and Shakti, right brain and left brain. The longing to find the union of polarities finds expression through ambition, conquest, love, sex, and yoga. Yoga, as we all know, means union. The simplest form of yoga is to put your hands together in namaskar. Namaskar brings harmony between the two polarities within you. Try putting your hands together, bringing both palms together in proper alignment, and looking at someone or something with loving attention. In 3 to 5 minutes, you will begin to harmonize. Namaskar yourself into peace. Namaskar yourself into love. Namaskar yourself into union. Let us put our hands together and unite the world. May you unfold your being with folded hands. The next section in the book is spirituality and fast-forward karma. When you consciously seek freedom from karma through a spiritual practice, you are essentially on fast-forward. When you churn up your inner life, certain dimensions of your karma come to the fore. At such junctures, it is possible to experience intense pain or discomfort. Of course, this could mean that you have contracted some ailment, but frequently this is just your past karma surfacing and manifesting itself in one way or another. The whole point of spiritual process is to take on more of a karmic load than your allotted one in order to finish off as much as possible. It means you do not want to keep repeating the same cycles again and again. So if you are in an active spiritual process, You may find everything moving at a bewildering pace. Physical troubles that used to beset you every 6 months are now coming at every 6 hours. This is only because you have chosen to work out your karma as soon as possible. You are choosing not to live a sanitized life that regards spirituality as mere placidity. If you become meditative and still carry negativity, your negative karmas become 1,000 times more powerful because you have become that much more sensitive and receptive. Suppose you cultivate the soil and enrich it with manure. The crops will grow well, but the same manure will also enable weeds to grow. Similarly, when you cultivate a meditative state and allow negative emotions to flourish, inner suffering increases dramatically. It is important to be extra cautious about weeding when you are in such a state. Otherwise, you will be left with a forest of weeds and no crop. The reason those on the spiritual path have a daily practice is just this: to ensure that karmic stagnation does not happen. You may already have noticed that if you have a daily practice and you stop it for 6 months, many recurrent issues, physical, psychological, and social, that have not bothered you for a while start returning. This is how the karmic cycle works. You may have believed you were transformed, but you will suddenly find all kinds of compulsive behaviors returning with a vengeance. Only practice or sadhana helps break the cyclical movement of life. I thank the viewers who have been watching. Since you have been watching so far, it means you are getting some value out of this video. So, let me take this opportunity to request you to like this video. Please subscribe to my channel at Tech Nature Yoga and hit the bell icon so that you can customize the notifications you get when I upload a new video. The book Karma by Sadhguru is available in multiple formats and multiple languages: English, Hindi, German, French, Spanish, Italian, Russian, etc. It is also available as paperback or electronic book such as Kindle or audio format from Audible, where Sadhguru himself reads the book. You would find the links to these in the description of this video on YouTube. Namaskaram. So it's time for our discussion, Lovelan. What do you think?
Well, as usual, when I listen to your presentations, even though I have read the book, I haven't read the. I'm trying to just kind of keep it at pace. I'm a bit ahead of you in my reading, but I find that when I watch your presentation, questions arise that might not have arisen when I was reading.
Mm-hmm.
find that's interesting. Um, so when you were talking about the Buddha Shuddhi,
Bhuta Shuddhi, yeah. Mhm.
Shuddhi, you said it's not a ritual, but I still haven't figured out what that is. Is that a routine?
Yeah, it is a routine. It's as I said, it looks like a ritual if you um, but it is um, more than that. It consists of things like um, lighting a lamp, um, breathing. I mean, very close to you. You are supposed to hold it in your hand. Lamp that is lit. Lamp that is oil and all that. And then there is it's ritual to do with the water and so on. So uh, as a whole, it looks more like a ritual. But coming back to it's talking about the five elements. So
Mhm,
how do you clean the five elements? It
mhm.
has to be some form of it will be a ritual. I mean, so sadly, we are not supposed to um, explain how the ritual is done, etc. Because Sadhguru says you can't explain it. You have to be there. It has to be taught to you, and so on. Um, so yeah, at the surface it looks like somebody is doing some ritual, but uh, I would say that yes, if it is, there is a saying, if somebody does something without really getting involved in it, they're just doing, I mean, going through the motions, as it were, that then it is pointless. There's no point in doing it. Then it becomes more of a ritual than actually beneficial. So whereas when somebody does it with the intention and all that, yeah, but he has not he doesn't explain it in the book, and even in the so many videos he says that it can't be explained, it has to be gone through.
Okay, so when as you explain that, the way I would interpret that would be if you if I have a regular routine that I
Hmm.
follow on a regular basis
Hmm.
with a specific intention, in other words, knowing what each part of that routine means and why I'm doing it.
Mm.
I guess it could be seen as a ritual, or for me, it's a routine. And
It has the same effect as Bhuta Shuddhi.
yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Mhm.
So, all right. So I get that because I
But
have
what he says is Bhuta Shuddhi is the probably the quickest way, um, or more concentrated
right,
process, which otherwise might take months, years, or whatever.
right. So I picked up something else that you said about that. So the routine involves something that deals with all of those elements that were mentioned. Um, okay. Um, so I get that. So then you talked about the Kashi mudra,
Mm-hmm.
and it said 17 to 19 inches from the center of your forehead
Mm.
or between your eyes to wear.
Yeah. As I said, it's
And it talks about at what angle, wasn't it 11 degrees or
yeah,
something?
yeah,
But it didn't make any sense to me, like to wear.
yeah. As I said in the video itself, I'm
You
trying
don't
to,
understand it either.
yeah, I need to, I'm trying to find out from others. I looked online, um, got more confused, so I said, okay.
Right. Well, I just remember at one time when I was doing a yoga program. This is years ago now, but
Mhm,
we had these. She recommended the guru recommended mudras,
mhm,
and there were certain positions that you were to hold
mhm,
while you were meditating. That's
mhm,
about as much as I
mhm,
can recall. It's years ago that,
mhm,
but I remembered her talking about mudras. But and it seems to me that she did put a fair amount of meaning behind the mudras, and there were several that she recommended.
mhm,
So that has made me want to go digging through my stuff to see whether I can discover or remember what that was about. So
mhm,
that was interesting. Yeah. So then you talked about minimizing physical memory. Is it a bondage?
mhm.
And the conductors of physical memory: salt, lemon, sesame seeds.
Yeah, the word runanubandha is a I I'm kind of unable to translate it, uh, because runa means debt.
Right.
Like you take a loan, you are indebted, and
Yeah, yeah.
that debt. Um, Anubandha means it actually means a bondage, but you want that kind of bondage. You want that, because anubandha means you want that attachment. It's not against your will that you are attached. It's like you have certain attachment to your children, spouse, and your loved ones, and so on. So that is that anubandha. But here, that word actually means it has multiple meanings. Well, one is it's an obligation. You can consider that as an obligation.
Hmm.
You can also consider that as a attachment. He does say that if it is too much of Runadabandha will result in a bondage.
Mm. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so this physical attachment, yeah, he says some um, some materials like salt and so on. I mean, my scientific mind will say that okay, salt and so on, they're all part of our body. It's our body is made of so many different, there is salt also, and so many other elements. So Yeah, those are the kind of main building blocks.
Mm.
So
So when I think, or I almost think, as you're describing that, I mean, I might be taking this off on a really weird tangent, but when I think of salt, I think of addiction. Because when I stumble on, sometimes when I feel like I want to eat something,
mm,
especially when I get that, it's almost like a craving.
mm, mm,
And it's usually only something salty that satisfies the craving.
mm, mm, mm,
So and I regard salt as almost like an addiction for me. I try to reduce the amount of salt. Um, because too much salt is not healthy for your body.
blood pressure
But
and so on. Yeah.
yeah, but um, so when you talk about bondage, debt, or obligation, you could almost add another word of addiction.
Mm.
Giving
Uh,
in, giving into an addiction.
yeah, addiction. Yeah. When it becomes compulsive and you
Yeah,
kind of you
yeah.
don't have control. Um, uh,
Okay.
yeah. Uh, but Runanubandha as such is not, doesn't go to that level. It's um
Well, okay, so it doesn't go to that level, but by my trying to think that through helps me understand the meaning of it, like the way it works, the
mm,
meaning of it and the way it works. So a couple of other things that I have stumbled on throughout my life. I've stumbled on people who say, "Oh, every morning you must take hot water with lemon,
mm,
and in order to be a healthy person." I've
mhm,
heard that many times, and I've
mm.
often thought, well, what's the basis of that? Is it to take in the vitamin C that goes with lemon, or what?
Acid,
Yes,
acid, citric acid. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm,
So I mean brings up, I understand that, but the sesame seeds, there is um, there's tahini.
mhm,
Um, is it tahini? Yeah, that I've heard people talking about making use of tahini as it being from a healthy health perspective, but also I think from other perspectives. I can't remember. Yeah. So that, I mean, that starts to make some sense to me as I think
mm,
about those things. So that's good. And the bit about folding the hands together, etc. You and I have discovered and talked about that many times. So I think we both understood that right from the very beginning of our getting to know one another.
mm,
And I'm remembering way, way, way back, and this had to do with Roland.
mhm,
I'm remembering way back when we kind of were listening to that lady's sound, and
mhm,
we were doing affirmations and
mm,
the thinking about repeating the affirmations that we created for ourselves every morning. And getting back to that morning routine, those affirmations, I'm still doing affirmations every morning. I have changed my affirmations ever so slightly, but not. I get that. I get that whole putting hands together and having a ritual or a routine or whatever. I get that. It has a lot of meaning for me. And I think that that's also part of the fact that we got to know each other during that time. We both kind of related to that.
Yeah.
And that was before you went back to India.
Yeah.
So I think that some of these things, when you stumble on somebody who connects to certain ideas that sort of deepens the friendship. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that has made a whole lot of all of that has made a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah. And you were mentioning the friendship and relationship, and I mean, one of the things of when we were doing the success circle, one of the things you kept saying was relationships before business.
Yes.
So in that sense, that relationship also can be called runanubandha is also it is a relationship.
Yes. Okay. I get that. It's interesting how one can go through life and through various teachings and so forth, and how suddenly all these things start to come together.
Yeah.
So now this whole thing about touching the guru's feet. Isn't there a story in Christianity about the disciples touching Christ's feet? I think there is. I'm pretty sure there is. So now you said about clearing your bondage, I guess, or clearing the physical memory or whatever. And you said something about showers, air wash, and fire wash. And you have always mentioned when you come home from work, give me a half an hour while I have a shower.
Yeah.
And I used to think, I wonder how come he has a shower after work rather than before work, or maybe he does it both. But now I get it. I that whole discussion about blowing away the my mother used to say, blowing the cobwebs out.
Yeah, it's because at work I have to come in contact with so many people.
I get it. You don't have to explain it. I get it now. And I've never thought about air wash, but I think I've mentioned this before, at the going to the beach and being there, and the waves coming in and the air, the ocean, the when I moved from the Arctic to here, which is very near the ocean. When we used to come down to visit, I can remember stepping off the airplane onto the tarmac, which was outside,
Mm-hmm.
and smelling the ocean air, and just going into ecstasy over the smell of the ocean air. And it's not noticeable to me anymore, but I do get a great deal of peace from being on the beach and smell and being, the sound of the waves, and that whole experience still gives me a great deal of peace. So I get that one.
Mm.
And you mentioned the fire wash.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't I just stumbled somewhere along the way about how spiritually cleansing it was supposed to be to walk across hot coals?
Oh.
And I have seen videos of people doing that,
Mm.
and often wondered, why are they doing it? What do they get from it,
Mm.
etc.
Mm.
And so that whole idea of a fire wash
Mm.
kind of explained that to me.
Mm.
I thought that was, isn't that interesting?
He was, I think Sadhguru was actually referring to fire wash in India. Typically, it used to be the case. Not I mean, these days it's not happening. But um, when you come home from a long stay away,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the your family members, they typically um, invite you at the door with a what you call, on a plate they put a few lamps, and
Mm-hmm.
they actually do a
A cleansing.
yeah, that is, and then yeah, there is a bit of ritual there, and so on. That used to be the case. And then um, the aim was to get rid of all the negative
Mm.
uh, energies or whatever that might have stuck to you when you were away. And yeah, that is fire cleansing. That's what he was actually talking.
Yeah. But now there's a couple of things that have popped up from that that seem were very important when I was doing coaching.
Mm.
And I don't know if I can show you this. This is
Buddha.
a Buddha. I bought that when I visited India.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that for many years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I have this, and I don't know if you can tell what it is. It's a small, let me see.
Container.
It's a small container with a candle.
Uh-huh.
I have those right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was coaching, I would often light that candle
Mm-hmm.
and sort of focus on the Buddha
Mm-hmm.
for my coaching sessions with my clients.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So for me, I saw it as a way to remind myself that this is all about the client and not about me,
Mm-hmm.
and to remind to kind of get myself focused,
Mm.
pull myself into focus so that I could concentrate on my client.
Mm. Mm.
I did that for years.
Mm.
Yeah. And whether that was whether I was coaching the person online, for a long time I did all my coaching via telephone, but by just listening. And I still did that. Yeah. So there are a lot of things that have out of what Sadhguru says, and certainly I guess finally this whole business about shedding your negativity, and sometimes that's the hardest thing to do of all.
Yeah.
If something that is really bothering you, either from a spiritual level or an emotional level or whatever, that's the hardest thing to cleanse.
Yeah, that is the hardest thing. And as Sadhguru says, when you start doing the meditation and get into this spiritual life,
Yeah.
Those negative things will kind of affect you more because of the spiritual process. You are becoming more sensitive.
Yeah. And you've cleared away a lot of other things before, so there's a lot more room for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you sort of ended at the end, I think, where you talked about a daily practice of some kind. What happens when you give it up and or you don't do it for a while, and then what happens? And I find that even if I skip a day. Now, you talked about 6 months ago. I find if I
Yeah, that's what the book says. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
yeah. So I find and as part of this routine that I do, my routine begins with my meditation, 15 minutes of meditation. And then I've had to add exercise because of some health issues.
Last week you were mentioning you were thinking of
Reverse,
reversing the sequence.
which I haven't done yet
Oh.
because of this other thing that happened. So, but then I do my affirmations, and then I do some journaling. And the journaling, I think I may have mentioned this before. I have discovered that the journaling is very important. And I find that if I don't have time to do the journaling, that is has a negative impact for me as well. So, and then following the journaling, I quite often get into some reading. And here's where I wanted to sort of talk about this whole negativity thing. I think you know that I've been doing a lot of reading and study in and around Indigenous and First Nations reconciliation, etc. So I've been reading a lot of books that are written by Indigenous people, and some of them I gain a great deal of understanding from, and some of them I have to not read them. And most recently, I stumbled on a book written by, and it's supposed to be, it's been given a lot of accolades and so forth. A book written by an American Indigenous person. And I won't go into a whole lot of detail, but the reason I sent it back to the library was there was so much focus of um, alcohol, family dysfunction,
Mm-hmm.
alcoholism, and drug addiction.
Mm.
And there was so much focus of that. I just couldn't stay with it.
Mm.
Despite the fact that I understand that are those are things that a lot of indigenous people need to heal from.
Mm.
I find that when I read this stuff, I seem to take it on, and I'm not sure that that's a healthy thing for me to do, is take it
Mm.
on.
Mm. Mm.
Uh, I maybe I'm wrong, but maybe by having a full understanding of the impact and the importance of the necessity of that healing,
Mm.
is that enough for me? Do I need to take it all on as I'm reading it? And
Yeah.
that I keep um, trying to work that out, and
Mm.
I'm not sure I have the answer yet.
Yeah, it's I understand what you are saying there. You don't need to. I think what someone else has gone through, the reason they are putting it out is to get it out of their system.
Yes, to some
Uh,
degree, it's part of their healing journey. I understand that.
yeah. So
And I understand that it's important for me to understand that it's their healing journey and
mm,
how necessary it is. But I don't know. I don't seem to I don't seem to want to take it on.
yeah. Yeah. It's there's. I mean, as such, nobody will really gain anything if you uh, get into that, and it's not going to help anybody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as such, that person probably, because of their, through the, I mean, because for their healing, they did it. Of course, it does not mean that they didn't suffer or.
No.
Uh,
And may their intention may have been their own healing, but their intention may also have been so that people like me can understand.
mm,
Because in order for reconciliation to actually happen, we
mm,
have to understand it and feel it and be emotional about it.
mm,
So, I mean, the author, his intention may have been to help me understand it,
mm.
but I already understood it before I picked up that book. So
Yeah.
anyway, I gave up on that one, but um, it really points up to the fact how destructive negativity is.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
So, and I think I've read lots of people saying, one way to get rid of negativity is to think about the things that you are grateful for,
mm,
and the things that you love and the things that are important to you and so forth. I don't know whether that I mean, it is important to be aware of what you're grateful for, but I don't know whether it washes away the negativity or not.
yeah. Um, Probably not. Um, but then the, no, like he says. you put the manure in and you're growing a crop. The fact that you put the manure also means that
Yeah,
if
you
there
have
are
to
negative things, they'll also grow. And
you have to do the weeding. Yes.
yes, and those if you are not careful, those weeds and all that, they will absorb all the manure and grow more rapidly than your actual crop.
Yeah. That's a good place to end and a good reminder.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
But Vivek, I agree with you. I think it is important to be able to have conversations like we just had.
Mm,
Um, because certainly my experience, I am ahead of you. I keep ahead of you in my reading, but I seem to get more questions arise for me.
mhm,
We're doing this, and as we're discussing. So I
mm.
I think it is important what you're doing.
Yeah, the questions in one of videos, Sadhguru says he jokes saying that the questioner said that he is confused by what Sadhguru said and so on. Sadhguru then jokes, "Oh yes, okay, that means I am successful. I have managed to confuse you. That's my whole intention.
Yeah,
I want you to be confused rather than come to a conclusion.
yeah,
When you come to a conclusion, that's the end of everything, and
right.
that's not what you really want. You want to be seeking and seeking the unknown. Yes, and yeah, that's
So this may be just a personal trait, but I find sometimes that when I've been reading something, certain ideas that come up when I'm reading, I have to ruminate about it.
mm,
It has to bubble through my
yeah.
system somehow. And the fact that I've read it before and it comes up again
Mm.
in this session, it's had time to bubble up in my system. Maybe I don't know. Anyway,
Okay, I'm looking at the time. We have gone well over time, but
well, but we talk too much.
anyway, so next week we'll be talking about karma yoga and the mental body. So I suppose Sadhguru and so many others are talking about an impending mental health pandemic. I think this is a very crucial thing that we take care of, mental body. And yeah, I think probably I may need more than one episode for that. So yeah. Anyway, so that's what we'll be discussing next week. So um, till then, namaskaram to all my relations.
Namaskar to all my relations.